Hey guys, I'm Boga, that's BOGA, and today I kind of want to talk about something that's been bothering me lately. Well, not me specifically, but a lot of Filipinos as well. The Philippines, I should say, it's a mid country. It's not too great, it's not too bad. You can definitely live here comfortably and you can live by your own means. You don't get shot randomly in here, unlike in the US, unless you have drugs on you or you're just a student who happens to pass by a drug raid. You can live peacefully here without people paying attention to you too much unless you go to crowded malls and you raise up a DSLR camera and speak obnoxiously and say that you're vlogging. Unfortunately, here in the Philippines, as much as I know, we don't really have much Karens. People don't really film you randomly if they feel offended unless you whip out your dick in front of a girl in a public bus and start jacking off. Well, there's not much to say about the Philippines except for our corrupt governance and virtually non existent porn industry because we. You can't even. I don't even know if you consider scandals porn. But we're not talking about porn here. We are talking about some issues that have been circulating around the internet. And it's very annoying because I live in the Philippines and I think I should be affected by this. So the Philippines is not really the perfect country as much as foreigners hype them up. I think that foreigners hype up our country more than us ourselves, but definitely stuff has been getting worse recently. But before we talk about that, all of the stuff that I'm about to say here are mostly opinions, and you should take every word that I'm about to say with a grain of salt. The only legitimate things that are here in this video are these articles that I'm about to show you. So first things first, let's talk about inflation. Now before we talk about that, I kind of want to tell you a story. Now I'm going to put this context front and center that I frankly am privileged enough to not go outside and buy food in stores. What I mean by that, my fridge is always full, so I don't really find it necessary to buy stuff in sari-sari stores. But whenever I do, I only do it maybe because I want to buy something that I don't already have. My family takes good care of me and they always keep our fridge full. And as you can see here, this is not my room. This is our living room. I live home alone. So, as you'd expect, I basically don't go outside much. The only time that I will go outside and buy food in sari-sari stores or any store around me in general is when maybe I want something that I don't have here. Obviously, we can't really have everything that's available in stores, so whenever I want to buy something, it'll either be eggs, instant noodles, or anything that can be used as an ingredient for a certain dish. So with this story, I'm going to talk about my adventure of buying a can of tuna that's this small and 2 instant dry noodles, pancit canton. I know you guys are familiar with that. We don't really stack or bulk buy pancit canton here in my place because I think it's unhealthy. But whenever I get those cravings, I just have to buy them. So the last time I bought instant noodles and canned tuna from a store, if my memory doesn't fail me, instant dry noodles used to cost 10 to 11 pesos. And small tunas, those brands, right? I don't have to say it to you. Usually go around 23 to 24 pesos, right? But that was a long time ago. Maybe about 3, 5 or 6 months because as I said earlier, we bulk buy stuff here so that I don't have to go outside because I hate the fucking sunlight. I'm a vampire. So recently I went outside to satiate my cravings of tuna and pancit canton or dry instant noodles. So as I calculate in my head how much it would cost me a can of tuna and 2 packs of instant noodles, I came to a conclusion that maybe around 60 pesos would suffice. I don't think that it'll pass 50 pesos because if my math is correct, 12 plus 12, or because that's what I thought instant noodles would cost, it'll obviously go around 24 pesos. And 1 can of tuna, which I used to think that it costs 25 pesos, would equate to around 50 to 49 to 43 pesos, depending. Maybe let's say there's some tax or something. I don't know why, but 50 pesos I thought was great. But of course, I don't really want to go back to our house to get an extra 5 pesos or so because I was short on money, right? So what I did was I added an extra 10 pesos. So I have 60 pesos now, right? Looking back, it was foolish of me to leave our house with 60 pesos in hand without thinking of the inflation that our country is suffering from. So yeah, I went to our nearest store here and I requested the cashier to get me 2 instant noodles and 1 can of tuna. Now, when she handed me the 2 instant noodles, she said that it's 30 pesos. I was like, what the fuck? I felt like the cashier was fucking me over, but then I realized, oh shit, our country has recently been suffering from a massive price increase. So of course, I thought to myself, oh okay, it makes sense. Okay, it makes sense. Maybe it's 15 pesos now each packet. Of course, it bewildered me for a bit because 4 pesos increase from just 6 to 4 to 6 months? What the fuck? But still, I still had high hopes. I still had 30 pesos with me. Good thing I had that 10 pesos added earlier because it literally didn't do shit. I thought that, maybe the canned tuna increased at about like, I don't know, 5 pesos, right? So I'm thinking that, oh, it used to be 25 pesos. Now it'll be 30 pesos. So maybe the amount of money that I have will be exact. But no, because inflation is poking me in the asshole right now. That single canned tuna costed about 32 pesos. 7 pesos increase from the last time I remember it costing. So of course, in despair, I asked the cashier to return the canned tuna. It was very sad because that was literally my favorite type of tuna. It was adobo flavored. I'm not gonna say the brand because they are not sponsoring me. So I ended up just buying 2 packets of noodles, and I went home, cooked it. It was okay. It was mid. It didn't really fill me up, but still it fulfilled its purpose. Then of course, as I browsed through my Facebook, I stumbled upon this beautiful article explaining why shit is happening. In an interview with One News, the big story on Tuesday, September 6, economist Emmanuel Leco said anything could happen as the peso closed at 57 against the greenback, a new record low. I'm gonna talk about the Philippine peso being at its lowest right now, but for now, let's head with this inflation thing. Since the Philippines imports fuel, Leco explained, pump prices will definitely go up. Higher pump prices make goods and services more expensive, particularly food items such as dried instant noodles and canned tuna that need to be transported from farms to markets. Now, obviously, as we all know, oil prices have increased because of the Russia and Ukraine war. The peso has been continuing to get a hit from the general strengthening of the dollar, supported by anticipations for continued monetary tightening in the United States to help address the 4-decade high inflation rate. So yeah, prices have increased significantly. Just now that I realized that actually it makes sense because I heard a story then that previously eggs used to cost around like 6 pesos or 7 pesos, right? But they say apparently nowadays it costs around 11 to 12 pesos, which is insane. Why would someone pay 12 pesos for an egg that's literally small? It's literally this big. You can see the malnutrition of these chickens from how small these eggs are. But thinking that an egg is almost at the same price as an instant noodle, it's definitely mind-boggling to think how high the prices have gone recently. So that's become apparent that prices in the Philippines are currently increasing, but there is a huge W, gentlemen and women and non-binaries. Look at this. Look at this thing here. Look at this beautiful news here. Inflation eases slightly in August. In a briefing yesterday, national statistician Dennis Mapa said headline inflation, the rate of increase in in prices of goods and services was at 6.3% in August. This was slower than the 6.4% in July, but faster than the 4.4% in August last year. The August headline inflation rate is within the 5.9 to 6.7% forecast of the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas (BSP) for the month. So, inflation rate increase getting slower. I don't know why this is supposed to be a good thing, because it's still a bad thing, because it eases slightly, only slightly. We'll still experience a price hike for the next few months. So imagine that egg that I was telling you about earlier. Instead of 12 pesos, soon enough, it'll be 15 pesos. You'll buy an egg that costs around 15 pesos. A very anemic egg for 15 fucking pesos. Now that's out of the way. Yeah, inflation sucks. Inflation not good. Let's go to this part of the news instead. The peso to dollar conversion rate is 57.135 pesos to $1. As a person who really wants to buy stuff internationally, this is a very depressing sight to see. I mean, instead of buying that REM figure that I've always wanted in Amazon, yeah, it's out of reach now, because it's look at this conversion rate, bro. Look at this conversion rate. It's 57 pesos. That's virtually 58 pesos if you come to round it up. I know it's 57 still, but I know that maybe tomorrow it'll spike up to 58, and maybe next week it'll be 100 pesos. So that's not an exaggeration, that's just prediction. But what does this mean? Those who have uncles and aunties and ninongs and ninangs outside of the Philippines, and of which these ninongs and ninangs or uncles and aunts that voluntarily send you guys money, bro, you're getting stacked, bro. Imagine for $100, imagine what you'll get. I feel like it's pointless to even just point this out, because peso, of course, has already been weak compared to the dollar, but still, seeing it at its state right now, we can do shit with pesos right now, because bro, this thing here, this is not good. No bueno, mate. So other than the unfortunate news regarding the prices, inflation, and the Philippine peso being absolute shit, I kind of want to talk about van kidnappings, because apparently van kidnappings nowadays are becoming more and more common. It's crazy. Now this article that I'm about to show to you is a bit outdated, because as you can see, it's August 26th, but virtually it's September, right? A girl 13 years old escapes alleged kidnappers in a white van. The teenager was walking on her way home when she saw the van parked near the gate of Del Rey Village 3 in Barangay 162, Santa Quiteria. Yeah, this place in North Caloocan at past 2:30 p.m. According to a statement from the Barangay Sangguniang Kabataan, the girl said 3 men emerged from the van, with one telling his companions to grab her by the feet. She said she shouted for help, catching the attention of a tricycle driver who helped her escape and gave her a ride home. Now, before I talk about this specific article that I'm showing to you, I kind of want to show you another article. No truth to serial killers, kidnappers in white van rumors, PNP. Said by the PNP spokesperson Colonel John Fajardo. If we look into the circumstances on the discovery of cadavers and the reported abduction of people who were later found dead, we do not see any serial killer here, because different people and motives are involved. We also do not have report incidents of a white van being used in abducting people. Apparently, these dudes are abducting people with the means of walking or running or maybe a bicycle. Now, I can't really find the photo, but there are a lot more like photos of wanted people that are posted around Facebook that are compiled into this one sort of like collage. But I can say that this is not the only case of kidnappings around this area. Hearing that, of course, activated this hyper-sense Spider-Man instinct within me that I didn't know I even had in the first place. Because whenever I go outside to cycle and exercise, my legs just instantly boost up and it just speeds up whenever I see a white van. It's insane. It's actually a superpower. And whenever I go home, I see like white vans parked at like suspicious and eerie places, because even if I'm a well-built man of twisted steel and sex appeal, it still scares me a bit, because whenever I go home and I see these parked vans, I don't know if it's coincidental or if it's intentional, but they always park at the most creepiest and eeriest of places. Whenever I go home and pass these vans, it feels like I'm playing van gotcha. If I get the wrong van, I'll just get abducted and get shoved in a rice bag and get pumped with chloroform, and then eventually you'll see me in a black market. But yeah, van kidnappings are not a good thing. It honestly scares me a bit. It makes my area a bit scarier than usual, because back then, kind of like the price increase, it's not like that back then, and not only are the prices alarmingly increasing, but also the kidnapped victims are alarmingly increasing as well, and it is not a good thing. So you might ask, what's the president doing at this time? What's his plan of action? What are they gonna do with these stuff that I just talked about earlier? Well, truthfully, I have no idea, because our president is currently having state visits. I think he's in Singapore. I think he's not in Singapore anymore, because this is literally old news. But maybe, yeah, he's not in the Philippines. But hey, as you can see here, he got named after a flower. It's the Dendrobium Ferdinand Luis Marcos. Wow, why would you name a flower like that? I guess he's having a good time, meeting these political leaders, and I have nothing against this, I guess, because I don't really know his plan of action yet. But what I know is that there are lots of shit that's happening in the Philippines right now that I think he should post more about in his Twitter, except for this. I'm not trying to besmirch Bongbong Marcos here, but he's a very active man in Twitter, and I think that he should post more regarding these price increases, the Philippine peso going the lowest, being at its lowest literally for the past 4 decades, and these van kidnappings and other stuff that's happening in the Philippines. I think he should address it more, maybe just in Twitter. Just any sign would be great. But yeah, he's named after a flower. Well, if you guys are thinking, oh my god, the Philippines are getting L after L after L, when can we get a W? I think this is a W right here. Senator Lito Lapid is pushing for a measure that will prohibit the sale, distribution, and promotion of junk food and sugary drinks inside public schools and within 100 meters of their perimeter. Why did I show you this? Because this is the only thing that I could say that is a good thing that's happening in the Philippines. But hey, it's a good thing, because less sugar and less junk food means healthier students and less fat students. I'm not saying that being fat is inherently bad or unhealthy in any way, but lesser fat students are a bit more healthy. But anyway, that's all for this video. If you guys agree with me, hit the like button. If you guys disagree with me, comment down below, change my mind. But as for now, that's all for this video. Thank you guys for watching, and see you in the next video.